What's going on, everybody? Let's go Blues! One more game. We got this. We got this. This is our year. I feel it. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling good. How's everybody doing tonight? Speaking of the devil, we got Mr. Timothy Two Shaves here.
What's up? Yo!
I gotta represent, man.
Right.
How's it going?
Oh man, it is going good. Won't be shaving the full mug today. Gonna slowly start getting some of the hair back, but I'm gonna be doing this bad boy.
Doing some trimming, trying to get the lines nice and clean.
Yeah, even at the shadow stage, I usually try to make sure that everything's nice, straight, well aligned. But lately, I mean, up until like I think the past day, this is like maybe 48 hours worth of growth. I've been trying to shave the whole face, but kind of missed the beard again, so go back and forth.
See, I'm on the fence. I get a lot of compliments for my facial hair, but personally, I don't care for it.
Yeah.
And the general consensus is that people say I look better with facial hair, but personally, I don't know. And I don't know, maybe it's because it's coming off my chin now, and I don't really know what to do with it. I don't know how to trim it off my lip correctly, so it's like growing over my mouth. I got people saying, good Lord, man, you need to learn how to trim that. So if you have any advice, please let me know, because I don't know how to take care of it.
Man, I think for everybody it's a little bit different, but for me, all I would do is just trim the lines, and then I would take a trimmer, and then I would keep everything at a specific length. I'd do specific settings, just to make sure if I was trimming to keep everything all even, I would just be doing, going up a setting every time I had to trim because it gets scraggly. But generally speaking, it's just whatever you prefer. If you want shorter, then go shorter. If you want longer.
So were you using like an electric razor with like a guard on it and then picking a length?
Yeah,
kind of buzzing it?
An electric trimmer that I might use for my hair up here. I would just do the same thing here with
Okay.
a guard on it that I could do different settings. I use clippers for the mustache, and then I would just brush that down with a comb and then do it at an angle, so that way it's continuously, kind of growing out like this instead of straight across.
Sorry, every time somebody says, let's go Blues, I have to show off the jersey.
Right, totally.
Hey, we got Curl Conk in the house. We got JB in the house. We got Try That Soap in the house. We got a ton of people.
Whoa.
How's it going, everybody? It's Friday.
JB in here. Tiff, I see you in here. DJ,
Showing the love. JB.
Whoa, my buddy Roland Klein Knives is in here. What's up, Roland?
Yo sounds like he's eating the mic, and Tim sounds. Hold on. I'm eating the mic, and Tim sounds like he's talking through a pillow.
I sound like I'm talking through a pillow?
You do sound a little on the quiet side, and I know anytime I watch my lives back, I always seem obnoxiously loud. I try and not talk so loud. Maybe this is a little better. I don't know.
I've even got a mic out today, so I don't know.
Now, I will tell you this. What I have noticed, oh, we got Carbon Shaving Co. joining us gracing us with their presence. Okay, guys.
You started the weekend a little early, Yost, right?
I have been. It's been a week.
Missing out. I didn't know we were pre-gaming this.
I pre-gamed this shit for about an hour already. I'm ready to go.
Right.
But what the hell was I even talking about? I don't remember. The two Blues is the Blues will always have a special place in my heart. They were so close. Well, see, here's the thing. Granted, when the first 2 years the Blues went to the playoffs was the year that they were an expansion team. So therefore, they didn't play against a lot of the developed teams. And they made it to the playoffs, the finals, the first 2 years. Didn't win a single game, and they lost against the Bruins. The very last time they were in the playoffs was against the Bruins, and they lost. Bobby Orr had the iconic goal. So, Bud Light, yeah, get off my back, JB. It's cheap and it gets me drunk. Yes, I know. I'm drinking piss water.
Hey, man, I love Bud Light. There was like happy hour when I was in college, and that was like my go-to thing. They just give you as much as you wanted for Bud Light anyway. So that kind of became a thing.
It's safe. It's predictable. It's cheap. It gets you fucked up. Like when I want to experience something good, I will splurge. But I think I got 8 16-ounce cans for like $8 or something. You can't beat that. I mean, you can beat that, but I don't want to.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I'm just going to ignore Jason. He's no longer here since he's talking shit on the Blues. Who else is here? Oh, but you were talking about your microphone too. Is I've noticed that once you go live with somebody else, it cuts all that extra stuff out. So your microphone, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, your microphone will not work when you and I are together.
That is so weird. I mean, I can try disconnecting it. I've had bad issues when I try to disconnect it in the past.
No, it's fine. You know, people can get over it. We're fine. I just noticed, like,
can you guys hear me at all?
I have to kind of stop and listen to what you're saying. You are a little on the quiet side.
Hello.
You're not a good Cardinals team.
Yeah. No, but we can go ahead. I mean, what are you using tonight, Yost?
Well, I haven't decided yet. I figured before we got into the shave, let's talk about our mail calls we've had the past week or two. You and I haven't caught up in quite a while, so let's talk about it. What have you received? What have you been getting? You know, what are you reviewing? You're always posting shit, right. So I want to see.
No, totally. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, I'm lucky enough to know people that are around some really cool stuff, and so they'll loop me in. They'll say, "Hey Tim, I spotted this thing. I know that's usually right up your alley." Or, lucky enough, I wasn't able to go to the Maggards meetup, but I did reach out to Eric, who did go to the Maggards meetup, and I knew Dogwood. Good Lord,
what's up, Ali?
Dogwood Handcrafts was going to be there. So I was like, I've always wanted one of their meteorite brushes.
Stop, you did not.
So
man, that thing is gorgeous.
It is beautiful. And it's cool because the black is not just a straight up black. It's got swirls and patterns in there. It looks like a night sky. Oh, man, this guy is an artist. Like, look at that thing.
Dude, I have been lusting over his brushes for like 6 months, and I've yet to pull the trigger on it.
Oh, man. He had this other one that was at the Maggards meetup that I really wanted. It was like an Aurora Borealis. It looked like a night sky with the Aurora Borealis going through. Oh, man. Gorgeous. Yo, Thirsty Badger, you're leaving.
I'm so disappointed. Him and JB are going. JB can go because he's talking shit on the Blues, so I'm not upset about that.
JB's not doing anything to me, but his Bud Lights, I mean, kind of doing something to me, I guess. But I also received a couple other things. So, Gillette Toggle back in the mix.
Okay.
So, really excited to be using this bad boy tonight. I haven't used a Gillette Toggle since probably about a year. I used one, and I was still kind of new to wet shaving, and I was kind of like, wasn't that impressed with it. So I ended up, trading it off for something else. I don't remember what I traded it for. But, you guys know me. You know I love, mechanically complex razors.
You do?
So had to pick up the Toggle again, and I got it for a ridiculously good price. I won't tell you what I got it for, but I got it for a really good price.
Did you get it from an antique shop, or did you get it from somebody who was selling it?
Somebody that was selling it.
Nice.
So lucky there. Speaking of that, a lot of people, every time they see me post my Holy Black stuff, I've been on a Holy Black binge lately. I've been trying to collect all of the limited edition soaps that
I've noticed,
especially the ceramic ones. And ever since I've been posting my collection, which have all been primarily I've traded for, some I've purchased, but I've had several people, because they see that I'm building a collection, reach out to me and say, I know that you need this soap. Do you want it? What would you be willing to trade for it? And I'm like, oh my God. And these are like unobtainium for a lot of people. So it's nice to see that people are trusting me to send me this stuff or reaching out to me. That's just what the community is about. That's what I like to see. Not any of this negativity crap. I like to see all the positivity the community can do, or when people reach out to me and say, is this a good bargain? Is this a good deal? What should I be on the lookout for? I like sharing what knowledge I do have from the experience that I've, bad purchases, good purchases, etc. So I've had some pretty good experiences. And then on top of the unobtainium THP soaps, Eric also sent me a couple things he got from the Maggards meetup. He sent me a sample of Terror from Barrister and Man that's going to be released. I think he told me, I messaged Barrister and Man, and he said July. Eric told me August. So we'll see. But it's really cool because it uses Colada, which is a synthetic menthol that THC uses. and it's my favorite. It's the best menthol on the market, hands
That's
down.
the stuff that creeps up on you, right?
Do what?
That's the stuff that creeps up on you, right?
Yes, exactly. So it's a creeping menthol sensation. It's one of the reasons why I love tangerine creeper, lavender creeper, because it's got the synthetic menthol, and there's nothing that compares to that experience out on the market as far as I've experienced.
Yeah.
It just kind of it's a next level icing on the cake thing, and I'm happy to see that other artisans are doing it too. Like especially with the story behind the Terror. I'm like a huge history buff
Yeah.
kind of dude, and I love the whole story between the HMS Erebus and the HMS Terror. It's like terrifying story. It's like the worst possible thing to happen, but then they released a book on it that was from the terror horrifying perspective, and they released a television show that was like along the same lines, like a horror. So it's like really cool to see people doing that because they're releasing this, and then I've also got Orbit, which I'll be using the aftershave tonight, but Orbit's was just released today by Noble Otter. They're based out in Texas.
Yes.
And it also, I believe, uses the synthetic menthol, which is awesome.
Okay.
And
now, let me ask you this. Granted, I'm not a fan of menthol. I like the idea of menthol, but for some reason my skin has other priorities or other thoughts. It doesn't like menthol. Hey, what's up, Boy Black? Speaking of the devil. So my question for you is, for instance, with the Holy Black and with the menthol creeping, so to speak, do you find that it's irritating? Now, I know you say menthol doesn't really bother you, but is it just like this cooling effect that comes on? What's up, Richard? Good to see you, buddy.
With the THB creeper stuff, with the colada, the synthetic menthol, I believe that's a menthol that menthol haters will love. If you've given it a chance, if you've ever tried it before, the thing with menthol, I like menthol, but I also don't necessarily care for an immediate splash of freezing cold in my face.
Sure.
Most menthol soaps, no matter the level of menthol, will give you that initial just like, whoa, make your eyes water. And it has a smell to it.
Yeah.
Kind of like an alcohol-y kind of smell.
Yep.
The colada, the synthetic menthol, doesn't have any scent, no fragrance whatsoever. So when you're using it, you don't get that. Your eyes aren't watering. And it really creeps up on you after you've, taken the towel, you wipe your face off. You get a little bit of the cooling, but then it really creeps up and becomes very apparent and very nice. It doesn't overstay its welcome, which menthol can do for some people. I think if you have sensitive skin or you're really sensitive to menthol, you really need to give synthetic menthol colada a try because it's honestly, there's nothing out there, in my opinion, that I've ever tried software-wise that compares with it. Nothing.
Now, besides that Barrister Man, or the sample you showed me with synthetic in it, is as far as your knowledge, is Holy Black the only person doing that besides Barrister Man?
Stefan over at the Holy Black is the one that's known for pioneering the colada, using the synthetic menthol. I think most usually reach out to him. I know you can get a cooling John Frum in the kind of Mysterium Serum balm that PAA releases, and he received permission from Stefan to use that in a beta phase on that. It's not as apparent in the John Frum cooling. I've got that, and it's good, but it takes a little bit longer for that to pop up. But I think most usually, just out of respect, usually reach out to Stefan to use this stuff. I think probably Barrister Man did the same thing. I'm not sure. But I think he's the main one that's known for using that, and we're starting to slowly creep up with others, which I'd love to see other artisans do that, but I do know it's THB's thing.
Well, sure, and I'm sure there's some sort of unwritten code of conduct that, if somebody comes up with something, you just don't step on their toes, and I completely get that, and kudos to Stefan for doing that. Try the Soap said you can also reactivate synthetic menthol lather with water. Summer Break Soaps has a synthetic menthol soap. I guess that's Cannonball, maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Grizzly Base said, I like menthol. I like menthol, but I want... God, I wish these comments would stay faster. Bear with me. I'm sorry. I like Grizzly Base. I like menthol, but I want to try atomizing it instead. It seems to hang around on my fingers after the splashing more than my face. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Can I get a cool fingertip feel?
That is the nice thing with, I will say, synthetic menthol, is that you can get if your face just gets a little bit wet even after the shave, maybe a while later, you can still kind of feel the cooling sensation on your face, which I do like. It's nice.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll usually pair that in the aftershaves they do too. Like tonight I'm going to be using the Orbit aftershave. You can kind of see it's like a milky.
Yeah, I see that.
It's really interesting. It's actually almost cold. It's weird because synthetic menthol is not really like menthol crystals, so you can't like typically see the same crystal.
Sure.
Stuff. But it looks really intriguing. I'm excited to use it tonight.
Eric Shave said Terror is awesome. It's a must-try in my opinion.
Yes. And Eric, thank you so much for sending me this sample because it smells like it's got a story to it. It's definitely got that shipwrecked wood, ice, polar scent fragrance to it with just something else hiding in the background. I can't pick it up, but I'm excited to use it. It smells fantastic. Whereas Orbit also is got this creeping, cooling synthetic menthol sensation, and it's also kind of an Arctic-y kind of feel, but it's more floral. So it's got some floral notes in there, clean, fresh, with what he calls, I think, like space cold or something like that. That's the scent notes, but interesting.
Now let me ask you this: we're talking about scent notes here, and I'm not gonna pull any artisan names out. I don't want to do anything like that. But when you're looking for a scent, do you look for something? This is where I have issue. Let me give you an example. Okay, sebum, the sebum set right here, fantastic shave set, great soap, great great serum, but the scent is not something that I would want to use on a daily basis as far as projection goes. To me, this is kind of like the scent has to be there to give you something to sniff and enjoy while you're shaving. And, granted, I'm sure a lot of people right now thinking you're an idiot, like the moss and the wood and the outdoorsy, that would be something I'd want to wear. Personally, and like I've had people say, well, do you only like cologne dupes? And I'm like, no, and I can't really put, like, okay, this is what I will wear, this is what I won't, but it makes you wonder, when you're making a soap or a cologne, how much of it is just for an experience while you're shaving? How much is it for it to project when you're done? Like I know that Sebum Gold makes an EDT in this particular green scent, but personally, I wouldn't purchase it. It doesn't do anything for me. Now, granted, I enjoy the scent during the shave, but I just don't see that being something that I would want to wear and have people smell on me, like a mossy, damp forest.
Right. I get that, and I think that's the thing with wet shaving, with fragrances in general, is that scent's a really subjective thing. What works for you won't work for somebody else. Somebody wants to smell like damp ozone earth and stuff like that, which is one of the reasons why I like Necromantic by Southern Witchcraft. It's got that fall vibe to it. Like the whole thing is just kind of a spooky thing. I love it. But I think certain fragrances have their place and their moment. There are a few fragrances that I've come across that I just can't stand or I wouldn't appreciate to a certain respect. I mean, it was kind of like that with me with Fahrenheit. When I tried Fahrenheit at first, it was very petroleum, gasoline, felt like someone was just doused in gasoline and then lit on fire, But Fahrenheit is one of those ultra-masculine classic scents that's been a timeless thing. It's influenced so many other fragrances out there. So I went ahead and bought myself a full bottle of it. And I'm like, you know what? The more you use it, the more you're going to appreciate it. And the more I did that, the more I really enjoyed it. But getting back to soaps, I think that for me, it's one of the reasons why I'm not buying as many soaps anymore is because the only exception to that, I would say, as far as soaps that just seem to just burst out of whatever aftershave I'm using, even then have decent projection and longevity, Australian Private Reserve. It's an example of one that I can smell that through whatever aftershave I'm putting on because it's that strong, that potent. And I like to see that, but not a lot of artisans put a lot of oomph behind the soap.
Sure.
Projection and scent. So one of the reasons why I've been using the Senseless soap by PAA is because it's fragrance free. There's literally no fragrance, so I can pair that with anything. Or like tonight, I'm using Mitchell's Wool Fat, barely any fragrance, kind of a soapy fragrance, but you could literally pair it with whatever aftershave you want. And if you're really wanting more of the, carrying a fragrance with you, having that identity with the fragrance, then you don't really need a soap. You can it gives you more freedom, I feel like, to have whatever
100%.
you want to wear, pair it with whatever. So I've
100%.
started finding myself switching to more neutral smelling soaps, unless, of course, there's a release like Terror or like Orbit where I'm like, I have to have that soap. I'm not just going out of my way to buy soaps anymore because I don't feel like it really adds to the scent for me. I don't smell it lingering past the initial shave, and it doesn't do much for the experience for me.
So when you're getting soaps, you're not necessarily looking at the scent of the soap, more or less the performance, who it's coming from, and you're relying on whatever aftershave or EDT you're putting on to project whatever you want to project.
Exactly. I like the layer fragrances, and originally that's why I really like the idea of the scented soap with a matching aftershave, with a matching EDP, or something that was inspired by. But overall, I don't feel like the soap adds that much to the overall scent that I'm projecting while I'm at work or when I'm, out and about on the town or whatever. I think it adds to the experience. I think wet shaving is that. It's all about the experience. What does it mean to you? What do you enjoy? There is a noticeable void going from fragrance soaps to something like Senseless, which has zero fragrance whatsoever. So you notice that during the shave, and that was what shocked me the most about it. The performance was good because it was CK6, but it was like being in a sound deprivation room. There's a huge void, and you can feel it. But again, if it's all about you're wanting to have really good fragrance, you're wanting to smell good around people, the soap's not really going to carry you that far. The aftershave and the EDP, the aftershaves are really what got me into wet shaving anyway, because I wanted to have more of a fragrance walking around. So soaps, fragrance doesn't really typically mean that much to me. I'm more based on, is it a good performer? What does it offer for me in terms of slickness, glide, post-shave feel? Do I feel like it's a luxurious soap on the post-shave? But fragrance, I've been kind of, dwindling down on to get more aftershaves and EDPs, going more the fragrance route.
No, and you're absolutely right. You bring up a very good point. But coming from somebody like me who's like a collector, I collect everything from growing up, I collected baseball and hockey cards, and then I started collecting Ninja Turtles, started collecting video games, and the soap is the same freaking thing. I'm collecting, granted, I love them and I love the experience, but let's face it, this is a collection. It's something I like to show off. I didn't build this crap on my wall just to hold it. I did it because I wanted to show it off. So it's a hard line because you want to support the artisan, you want to get the certain scent, but for a fact that aftershave or the EDT is where the scent projection is going to come in. So how do you determine whether or not to buy the full set when something is released?
See, that's the tricky thing. For me, it can come down to the label art. It can come down to the presentation of the items in question. But for me, typically, especially now that I'm kind of having a change of focus with my shaved in, I want to showcase soaps. I've been really loving the stuff that I received from Gentleman's Knot. I really like the performance of it. But I want to have lining on my shelves more aftershaves, EDPs. And I believe the aftershaves really showcase more along the lines of what some of these artisans are putting a lot of effort into. They're putting a lot of effort into the bases, don't get me wrong. But I think the things that you remember the most after the shave are the fragrance and the time that it takes for the perfuming and the power of it. So I want to start collecting more aftershaves because I feel like I could have a much more varied selection that I could use a little bit more often and even layer those scents together easier than I could with a soap and feeling obligated to pair it with the matching aftershave, which is how I am. I wouldn't buy a soap by itself if I had the choice. I'll buy a soap and the aftershave because I want that rounded out experience. But I will buy an aftershave by itself because I know I can pair that with other things. So not so much.
Now, Grant, I want to cut you off real quick here. Before I miss this, Ali had said, granted, talking about scents in the soap, Ali said, depends why you are making a soap. Sometimes the scent comes first, and the base and the formula around the fragrance. Other times the ingredients and effect are priority and the scent becomes secondary. And see, that's a very good point, Ollie. Let me see if I miss anybody else. Bear with me. I think and I think you can kind of tell that in my personal opinion. Now, I know when I had my live interview with Sebum last week, he said that his scents are meant for like therapy, aromatherapy. Right. To to me, the experience I took away was the performance. The scent to me was secondary from Siba, in my personal opinion. He may have put a lot of time and effort into figuring out what needed to go in there that was safe for, your skin. But to me, what I took away was the performance versus the scent. The scent to me was forgettable, but it's good because I can still use it, reap the benefits, and then put on whatever I want afterwards and know that it's not going to interfere.
Exactly. No, I mean, I totally get where you're coming from there. I mean, it's the same reason why I use Mitchell's Wool Fat. I don't use it for the scent, although I don't mind soapy scents. I use it because of the performance and the presentation. Yeah. I like the ceramics. So I'm
I do too.
Just getting that rounded out. Because, again, part of what got me into wet shaving was the nostalgic aspect of it. And I feel like as I'm dealing with stuff that feels a little bit more tied to the old world, I get to share more into that same tradition. So when I start getting stuff like these, awesome ceramic containers, I just feel like I'm sharing more into that vintage experience versus like a modern metal or plastic tub. I mean, I know they were around back in the day and stuff like that.
But nobody's really using those ceramic containers besides Holy Black and the Wool Fat. I mean, I'm sure there's others out there, but for the most part, you get it in a plastic tub or a metal tin, and which is fine. But there's something about when you see one of those, it stands out.
Yeah. It looks great in Shave of the Day picks for one, going to be honest there. But it's just cool to open that up and see a puck there and see the old school lettering on it. It's one of the reasons why I love THB is the presentations there.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a lot of thought into that. And it's the same way with their glassware and stuff that they use for the elixirs, for their EDPs, for the aftershave bottles like Tangerine Creeper is the prettiest thing I've ever seen in the aftershave. That thing looks gorgeous with a little light going through it. But presentation's a big thing for me, and especially when it ties into the nostalgic, which THB has a tendency to do. It's like, if you even see their little snake oil, I mean, it's snake oil with the old script running around it, like, you would see in Red Dead Redemption or something like that, these beard elixirs, and stuff. It's just cool when you see the old school stuff like that. And I like
100%.
Echo, I like Old West stuff, I like, 20 stuff. I mean, I love that stuff.
Eric said, I buy samples first when I can. I actually buy few aftershaves. Just the scents I want to smell like all day, which are a select few. First Canadians, or Ollie said likewise, Eric. I do the same thing if I like the sample. Hold on, damn it. I wish this comment would quit going away something. Yeah, I'll get the set. Sometimes I'll get a beard oil first, and if I really like it, I'll go for the soap. First Canadian said, as an artisan, I find most guys prefer stronger scented soaps, and you're correct. But I think it's one of those things where if you know you're going to be, like, for instance, hold on, Immortal Peach. There's a few fruity scents in my collection that I could pair this with. But if I know that I'm going all in with this soap, I'm going to finish it off with the peach aftershave. I'm not going to throw something else on there. So, and I think from what like First Canadian was saying is, yes, I think most people like this for two reasons. Whether they like the matching set or if they don't have the money to drop a matching aftershave each time, there's still a good chance you're going to get a decent projection. There's been times I've shaved with the soap and either forgot to put an aftershave on or didn't have a matching one or for whatever reason didn't have it on. And I've gone around somebody and be like, oh, you smell good. So I know that some of the stronger soaps benefit from having that projection on it. But like Tim was saying, being an unscented or a low scent or a neutral scent gives you options to then put whatever you want on afterwards. And that's kind of the hard thing because, for instance, talking about the collection aspect, CK6 is a fantastic formula, but at this point, I'm not buying it for the soap anymore. I'm buying it for the scent. I know what CK6 is capable of. I know how it works. I know how thirsty it is. I know how much work I have to put into it to get a good lather. I'm not buying it for the soap anymore. I'm buying it for the scent and the artwork. That's what I like to show off, especially when it comes to PAA. His artwork is just fantastic. And for the most part, when people come into my den, especially people who don't understand wet shaving or maybe just kind of get an idea, they gravitate towards PAA sets just because they're eye-catching. They're bright, they're vibrant, they're cool. They look like an old 60s movie or, something along that line. And it's part of the whole experience, and that's why I like it.
Well, I mean, tying in with what you said, tying in with what First Canadian said, I feel like if you're going to release a soap with a fragrance, go all in. Release it with a fragrance. If I'm buying a soap because it smells like tobacco, mandarin, etc., I want to smell those scent notes. I want that to project. I'm buying that soap not because I want a subtle fragrance. I always tell everybody, all these artisans that I talk to, in private chats and stuff, that if people are complaining because your soap is too fragrant, if there's too much projection or longevity there, offer a scentless option. Because those of us that are buying your soap because there's a great scent there want to experience that. You worked hard on that fragrance, on that specific scent profile, show it off. Because I mean, admittedly, I buy Mitchell's Wool Fat, I buy other things like Senseless because I want to experience a lot of different kinds of aftershaves. I don't want to be tied down to an aftershave that matches that specific soap.
Sure.
And it saves me money because I'm not feeling like I'm forced to buy the soap and the aftershave and the other things.
Sure.
I can spit it on the aftershaves and the EDPs. But if I'm buying a soap, I want that to stand out. I mean, there's times I've got unscented witch hazel from Thayer's over here on my cabinet door, and I use that to pair with stuff like Australian Private Reserve because the fragrance is so strong. I can just put that on there, and that'll carry me through literally an 8-hour workday. I can smell any of Australian Private Reserve's soaps all day because of how strong the soap fragrance is. It's really good perfuming. So I want to see that with artisans. It's not that I don't want them to dim down the fragrance. I want that to be elevated on soaps that are meant to smell, have a fragrance, have a scent. But if they're unscented, then that's what they're there for. So you can do whatever you want with the aftershave.
Exactly. That's a good point. Got Smiles for Miles here. Let me show you. I had a little small mail call today.
Yeah,
so I'm going to show it off. Speak of the devil, Smiles for Miles is here. Got a nice little chubby little brush right here.
Beautiful brush.
Granted, I haven't used it yet. It's got a synthetic knot. It's wood turned.
It looks like. It looks good.
It's got a skateboard. I think it was called the skateboard. It's got these iridescent lines of different colors and contrast with this nice kind of a reddish wood base. Very neat, very unique. I don't know how long he's been turning. I don't know his experience, but very generous to send this out, and I'm going to use this tonight in my shave. So I really like this. And that's the thing, too, is I don't know, there's so much to collect in the hobby. First I started with soap in the scents. Then you start with the hardware, the brushes, the accessories. And I think now, I had this conversation with Ruds when we did our live shave a few months back. I said to him, because he had mentioned that, he's got the shave score of 0 to 100. He said, but the point is that there's so many people improving on the soap base that he has to now, recalculate everything. Yeah. Do you think we're ever going to hit a wall? Do you think we're going to eventually, this is as good as it gets? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's so much that you can expect out of a soap. And for me, there are soaps out there that I feel like tick a lot of boxes off for me. I feel like that there has to be a wall. There has to be only so much you can do unless there's some sort of new innovation and some sort of ingredient that you can throw in there. You can use all of these different kinds of tallows, like duck tallow and beef tallow and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, it's tallow. And at the end of the day, it's just about, really, I think, more along the lines of the volume you choose with a certain ingredient. So you've got bentonite clay, you've got silk, you've got, all these various butters, it just depends on what you're going for and the experience you're trying to sell. And I feel like there's certain artisans that do that very well, that have a very well-rounded base experience, that give you the glide, that give you the slickness, give you all this other stuff. And I feel like at the end of the day, telling the differences between some of these top-tier soaps becomes incredibly difficult because you're trying to search for what they're doing in a unique way. But really, I think it just comes down to, can you shave well with it? Does it leave any irritation? Does it make your face feel great when you're done? And for me, that's kind of where I'm at with a lot of soaps. I'm like, okay, I know this performs well. I know they do this really well. So, with Mitchell's Wool Fat, the post shave isn't outstanding, but the glide, this is the slickest soap I've ever used in my life. It's insanely slick. So if you're worried about cutting yourself, Mitchell's Wool Fat might be your ticket. But if you want an excellent post shave, get something like a balm, like Mysterium Serum or whatever. I feel like there's a lot of after products, after soaps,
Yeah.
To compensate for the lack of a soap's actual performance or even elevate it to a certain extent, that soaps may not ever quite, 100% reach on their own. There's plenty of soaps that I can use without the assistance of any aftershave product whatsoever, like Ariana and Evans, Shaving Shop Club, APR, CK6 base. I mean, there's tons of them out there that I can use, and and with that you see increase in prices too. So I'm willing to pay for something that's a quote unquote lower performer, like the old Crown King base versus the CK6 base, because it's still a good performer, but it's significantly cheaper. It just depends on what you're willing to pay for, and how much you really expect out of a soap.
So when it comes to you, just let's say there's something out there that you really want. What pushes you to buy it? Is it the scent? Is it the story behind it? Is it the artisan? Is it already knowing how the performance is? That's kind of, nowadays I have to try and talk. If I didn't sit there and try and talk myself out of every purchase, I would buy every goddamn thing that came out.
Yeah.
So I've kind of set these perimeters of like, okay, I already know how the soap is going to perform. I already know how long of a projection I'm going to get from this artisan. What is your determination on pulling the trigger?
My problem is that certain artisans do certain things incredibly well, sometimes even better than others, and they have their own unique tie-ins with their fragrances or their soap bases and how they perform. The Shaving Shop Club, for instance, has the membership, which I really like, and it makes soaps a lot less expensive, including their EDPs and aftershaves.
Yeah.
It's easier for me to want to purchase. Again, Sterling Soaps, admittedly, does not have the best performing soap bases. They do really well.
Oh, yeah.
They're the best bargain in wet shaving, hands down, 100%. No one can compete on that level, but no one's trying.
Absolutely.
But and that's easier for me to want to purchase more Sterling because they're at a lower cost, and I feel like I'm getting value out of that. But again, I'm not buying it because of performance. I'm buying it because it's affordable, and I love the fragrances that they pull out. I can layer those fragrances easily at a low cost. But others like Southern Witchcrafts, for instance, they have this whole theme, this whole mood behind their soaps. One, I really like the theme, and I like the presentation and the idea behind their soaps.
Yeah.
I love the strength of the soap aftershave EDP fragrances. They smell incredible. They're unique. I haven't smelled anything else like them. And then THB, I buy because I enjoy the performance. I love the presentation.
Oh, yeah.
I love the uniqueness. They're limited, so they scratch that itch for me with just being, an exclusive kind of item. So I go back and forth with several things, and I try to have certain parameters that I set up. Okay, well, you already have a THB soap here, so you're not, the only thing you're going to do is maybe trade some items for another thing if it comes through. You're not going to outright buy it. Or, you've already got this soap by this artisan, maybe just, kind of wait until, you maybe try a couple samples, which is what I'm doing with PAA instead of buying a whole bunch of their aftershaves, which is a temptation because I know how they perform.
Yeah.
I bought a ridiculous number of samples that were really, really cheap, so I can try different fragrances and see what I'm drawn to. So I go back and forth. There's all sorts of things I consider, but like Cole's Pond, Talbot Cole's Pond, has a ridiculously cool story that I'm familiar with because I have similar stories around that kind of a fragrance. It evokes those feelings for me. A lot of wintertime fragrances I'll buy because they evoke my favorite time of the year and old memories. So it just depends on the mood, the time of the year, all the stuff going on. It's a lot of different things.
Do you ever find yourself, now granted, I know we need to shave. People are still here. They're watching us. I don't know why. But we need to shave. I know it's like going through phases. I noticed, like, for instance, when spring was starting to creep around the corner, I started yearning for a peach scent. So I got the Bell Ringer from Summer Break Soaps. I got the peach scent from Southern Witchcrafts. And there was I got the Earnest from 11, or not 11, I'm sorry, from Gentleman's Nod. And then I got the PAA's peach. And it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, this is what I've been looking for, and I love it, and I'm great. But am I going to wear it during the winter? I don't know. I like having that. I was talking to my father the other day, and I told him, because he's always liked fragrances and scents, but he's never been into wet shaving. To this day, my dad's 81 years old and he still shaves with an electric razor. Poor guy. But I've always tried telling him, I was like, my hardest part of the day is walking in the bathroom and figuring out what I'm going to wear for that day. But I like that. I like having the options. I like having the ability based on my mood, whatever it is, the day, the temperature, the weather. I know that I can put on something and have the options instead of having 2 or 3 colognes that you smell the same every day. And I think that's the whole point of the wet shaving. It's the experience. It's the connections with the owners, the tie to the stories, the history, the labeling, developing these relationships.
What a time to be alive, because we have these options. We have ridiculously different soap bases that perform differently, that are perfumed differently. We have all sorts of fragrances to match every, major, topical men's cologne EDP out there. I mean, we're in a period of time where we've got these choices. So it's nice to have selection, which is why I have the selections that I do. But I am trying to get to the point where I reliably go to 1, 2, 3 different items, and that's my benchmark. That's what I post, and then maybe I mix that with a topical fragrance. So I'm trying to find hardware that I always use no matter what. I'm trying to find software that'll supplement, like the Mysterium Serum stuff. I almost use that with every single shave, and I didn't think I would do that. So this has become like one of those things. I'm just trying to round out my shave experience where I can have something that's my go-to every single day, stuff that remains constant, but then I still have plenty of options available to me to deviate from that, like my aftershaves, my EDP, my cologne, stuff to get me through the day that smell great, but I can also feel great about the items that I'm using because I've used them a million times and they're reliable.
Sure. Now, granted, most of us, we don't need these collections we have, but they're part of who we are. They're a statement. They're something that we like to be proud of and show off. If somebody said you can only keep 2 razors out of the 10 to 12 I have, I can easily tell you right now which 2 I would keep and which ones I would get rid of. So, on the other hand,
right?
It would be my Schick Injector from North Shore Razors, and it would be my 1914 Everready. Those 2 are my...
I knew it.
Dude, I am a sucker for those single edges. I haven't touched a DE in 6 months, maybe.
Hey,
Granted, I have them.
That's, again, why we do the hobby. You experiment, you figure out what works for you, and you stick with it,
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with the DEs. I have nothing against them. I've got several of them that are great, absolutely great. But something about the way I can hold it and something about the way it shaves, I just get a better, more efficient shave with a single edge. And there's something about it that I really enjoy. And I can't tell you outside of other than what I just said as to why that's how I justify it. But I remember when I got the 1914, we had our first St. Louis meetup last October. Now, I have not tried to carve yet, Thirsty Badger. But I picked up a 1914 Everready from Shave HQ. He was a vendor out at the St. Louis meetup. Bought it for, I don't know, $30 bucks, something like that. But immediately, within the first 2 passes, I was like, holy shit, what is this? Number one, it's this many years old, and it shaved this good. And I like the weight of it. I like the shape of the handle. I like how short it is. And, that's just part of the fun of the hobby. Freedom Shave Stop said people collect all kinds of stuff, baseball cards, comic books, coins, Hot Wheels, and shaving gear. It's all the same. You're absolutely right. It's a part of it's a reflection of who you are, your personality, and what you like. And on top of that, the icing on the cake is you get to meet a lot of really cool people that you never would have known.
Exactly. I've made ridiculous number of longtime friends through wet shave. I mean, you, Yost, included. And it's crazy how that takes off, how people trust your opinion, how you look to them for guidance and what you should be doing and what you should be looking at, and how supportive the community is. It's one of the most supportive communities I've ever been in, and it's one of the reasons why I love it. Why, if I was just left to my own machinations, I would be doing this stuff all the time, posting cons and all that stuff. That's why I had to kind of pump the brakes and tell myself, okay, take a minute. There are other things in your life that are more important than a razor and some soap and some aftershave.
Yeah.
But I've got all these ideas swirling around in my head, and I'm like, oh man, it'd be cool to share that. It'd be cool to discuss this. Oh, I've got this experience. They want to know that. But I have to kind of tell myself, all right, you got a full-time job. You got, people that you care about, people that you love, people that you want to spend time with. And so you got to kind of remember, okay, well, this is a hobby. This is a thing that I love and I enjoy, but it's also got to be supplemented to the things that are, really important. But again, what makes it so much more important for me to do the content, post things, share stuff with people is because of all the friends that I've met, the people that have showed ridiculous generosity to me and like what I.
The connections are insane.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I mean, honestly, if I met any of them here, if anybody's ever in Oklahoma, I'll get you a beer. We'll go out, we'll hang out, we'll talk. Because I'd love to hear your stories, where you come from with wet shaving, what you like, what you don't like, all that stuff. I mean, that's fun. That's part of the hobby.
Yeah. Now, one thing here recently, now granted, I haven't done this so recently, and I'm partly guilty because I like to keep my collection, but I have set a strict limit to once they no longer fit on my shelf and I have to put them in my linen closet to store them is when I need to clean out. So I finally hit that point about 6 months ago in my journey, whatever you want to call it. About 6 months ago, I got to a point where I'm like, okay, I need to do something. So, and let's be honest, probably everything, I'd say 60% of everything in my den within the last 6 months to a year has been given to me for whether review or photography or for videos. So you reach a point to where it's like you can't turn around and resell it because it kind of looks like a dick move to sell something you got for free.
Exactly.
So I have found joy. Matter of fact, Josh, reached out to me last week and said, hey, buddy of mine just started in wet shaving. He doesn't have very much. I reached out to him and said, hey, pick 2 soaps, pick 2 sets. I'll send them to you. All I want you to do is cover shipping. So I sent him 2 sets, and I threw in a shitload of samples and a lot of other stuff that he didn't, ask for. And he was super excited. So to me, I'm getting more of a joy out of that now than I am just posting the content because I'm getting other guys involved and making them happy, and I'm doing a good thing at the same time, and I'm helping out other people who can't drop the money on those releases every month.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I totally get you. And that's the funny thing is that, I'll see it on both sides. You piff something, you pay it forward to somebody else, and then somebody sends you stuff. I mean, the majority of the product that I have, there's a few exceptions. There's few people that, few artisans that I do buy product from. But there's so much product in there that was just gifted to me from not even just the artisans themselves or the companies, but people that are watching it on the channel, like what content I put out, and they're like, what do you think of this fragrance? Or what do you think of this hardware? Whatever. And that is why it's honestly difficult for me to give away stuff like that because a lot of it was given to me. So a lot of it does have sentimental value.
Exactly.
But again, I do, if I do, choose to move it forward, if it was something that was given to me, I'm just going to either trade it off or I'm going to just send it to somebody because they could use it. I won't use it. It'll mean a lot to them.
Exactly.
It means a lot for you to take your time to send something to somebody or to do what you can do. And I mean, that's the tricky thing is that sometimes it's like, okay, I need to run to the post office. I need to do this thing. I told this person that I'd send this out and I totally forgot. And it's been like 2 weeks and I always feel terrible. So I always hate trying to promise I'm going to send something out and because I forget because I get work. But I legitimately do want to send stuff out to people and see what people think about certain fragrances that maybe I'm not turned on to, but maybe they'll like.
Yeah.
But again, it's kind of coming to the point for me where I'm trying to narrow down my focus to a couple artisans that I really like and that I can keep around and that I can display and really showcase and talk about because I've got a ridiculous amount of experience with those artisans.
Yeah.
Instead of just continuously collecting everything from every artisan that ever existed. I do want to showcase various products to review to let people know, is this worth your time or your money?
Yeah,
but
for sure.
On the flip side, it's a guest bedroom that I've converted to a shave den. So I don't want to be, our guests coming over sleeping on soaps, which is possible.
No, I get it. But that's one thing that I have found joy in the last 3 or 4 weeks is just helping out people who not necessarily let's put it this way. Nobody's in need. Nobody needs to have
Yeah.
Nobody needs this stuff. It's a luxury. It's a hobby. It's fun. Nobody needs it. But if you're in the industry, if you're in the hobby, you need it. You know, you want it. I get it. So, hey, what's up, Frank and DJ? But I have found more joy in piffing the stuff that I know I'm not gonna use, and giving it to somebody who is either at least gonna have a fun experience out of it, get to try something different. And that's kind of what I've found more joy in lately than just showing off the product, because I can only show off so much stuff before people are like, oh, there's Yost with another free soap. That's not the whole point behind this. And like I've explained before, I used to ask. When I first started, I'd like, hey, I take some pretty good stuff. You guys, send me a product, I'll do it. But I've gotten to the point to where I don't have any reason to ask for that stuff anymore. But people still to this day will just say, hey, what's your address? I want to send you something. I want your input, or I want your photos, or whether they pay me for advertising. I have found more joy in sending products to other people and seeing their results on, whether it's a picture or they're, I shaved with this, and sent this to me and it was so good and I really appreciate it. I found more joy into getting more people into the hobby than I have just shaving for myself. It sounds corny. It sounds stupid. But it's the truth. It really is.
I mean, that's where I get the most rewards, when I see people commenting, or I see people reaching out to me like, when are you going to do your next podcast, man? I love these things. I love hearing that stuff. People
hey, I'm guilty. I tell you all the time, I need another damn podcast.
No, you could. But, I mean, I put this stuff out there because people value my feedback and value my opinion. It allows me to feel like I'm having an impact or involvement with their lives, which feels great. It sounds corny. It sounds ridiculous.
No, absolutely.
I mean, I like getting products, but honestly, I've been at this point for a while where if an artisan reaches out with a product that I'm not particularly interested in, or I don't care for, I've already, I'm somewhat familiar with it, I'll just be like, that's a great product. I'm just not particularly interested, because I can't showcase everything. I don't want to just keep shilling for various artisans. I want to showcase the people that I believe in, or if there's a new innovative product out, I want to showcase it and give you my genuine thoughts on it. But I do this more from an educational perspective. That's what I originally started. If you watch my first videos, the crappy ones, I was showcasing razors and hardware that you never see anywhere on the internet. But I wanted to talk about it because I loved these things. I thought they were so cool. I got them to work. And I wanted other people to know you can get these to work for you as well. And that's where it started for me, was the hardware side of things and using products that I felt like people just don't ever hear anything about. And it still is to that day, the same thing to this day. I think Thirsty Badger said it earlier. It's a lot about the hunt. And for me, and I was talking to Reyes about this over at, Reyes Restores, JR. But we were talking about the thrill of the hunt, going out to an antique shop and finding something that is incredibly rare or you've seen before, and you're like, whoa, what in the world, or building relationships with your local antique dealers and stuff. I mean, that's fun. I like that. I like to hear their stories. I like to tell them where I've come from and how I restore razors and things. I've learned different techniques for, bringing out the original shine on these things. It's just cool. And I'll have people that'll reach out to me like, how's that Pall Mall razor I gave over to you? And I'll show them pictures. And they're like, oh my God, that thing's incredible. I didn't know it could get that way. And I'm like, yeah, man, I'll show you some time how to do that if you want. But
it's fun. It's part of the fun. And, and a lot of people don't realize, granted, I'm not knocking anybody in this group. A lot of people just like to share their photos and engage and talk. But somebody like you and me, who kind of are looked at as, reviewers of some sort or pumping out content, neither one of us are getting paid for this. If people want to say, well, you're getting paid in product, to a point, yes, we're getting paid in product. But still, we have lives, we have jobs. We're just dudes on camera shaving and putting, and making it out there for everybody. And I'm not complaining. I love it. That's why I do it, because if somebody is going to take the time to send me the product, I have the right, I feel that I owe the community to at least give my thoughts. Whether you believe me, whether you think I'm credible, whether you think I'm padding the review because it was sent to me, that's all on you. But the point is that we put a lot of time and effort in what we do, and I love doing it, and I just want to share my experience with other people. And hopefully, potentially, I've had people message me, thank you for, explaining to me or pointing me in the right direction on where to start. I've got a buddy I met on PlayStation about 3 years ago, a good buddy of mine. He's 38. He's been following me on Instagram for about a year now. And about a month and a half ago, he's like, all right, what do I need to do to get into this? So I sent him a full set. I sent him the Olympus set from Wet Shaving Products. I sent him the Major Razor from Colonel Conk. And I sent him the Holy Black brush that I got. Sent him like $100 starter kit, and he's hooked. So to me, that was a success, and it was stuff that I didn't pay for, but I knew had value to it and was good products, and I wanted to start him off right. And to me, I got more joy out of seeing him experience it, his wife saying how good it smelled, and how he took the time to make a lather where before he would just squirt the shit out of a can. To me, that just, I love it. I think that's part of it, is getting more people into it.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. If you're having some sort of inspirational effect on people feeling like this could be part of their routine, they could take part in something that people have been, men, women have been doing for, decades. It's, to me, that's where a lot of this comes from, is people reaching out and saying, oh man, I bought that brush that you recommended, or I received that thing that you sent me, and oh my God, it's crazy. That's how it was for me when someone gifted me some of this product, and I tried it for the first time, and I was like, oh my God, there's a whole world out there with this stuff that I had no idea. And you get hooked. And you get hooked because the community is really supportive, but you get hooked because it's something that genuinely elevates your day. I mean, I look forward to shaving every single day. I'm lucky. My hair grows in a way I can shave every day, and usually twice a day.
Yeah.
But I look forward to every single one because it's a moment where I can sit back, I can relax. I had a bad day. I can throw in a nice scented soap, a good splash, maybe a nice touch of that creeping menthol.
Yep.
And I can lay down and just feel good about myself. And I think it's another aspect of your life that you can control, and that you can sit here and put your time and focus and see the immediate results of your work. And I'm
all about that instant gratification.
But sorry, I was reading one of the comments.
Wet shaving is cheap Prozac. Well, right. Tim, I just realized that we have yapped for an hour, and we have shaved nothing. Instagram is kicking us off in 2 minutes. I don't know where the time went. Now, granted, I could probably pull off a shave in 2 minutes, but I'm not going to do it.
Right. Yeah, I forget these things close out after that. But hey, this was a discussion. I'm still going to shave. I'm still going to use my beautiful meteorite brush.
Have you posted any photos with that yet?
Do what?
Have you posted any photos with that brush yet?
Just got it. So I was going to post some pictures tonight after my shave of the night and see what everybody thinks of it. But I mean, what a beauty.
That is so cool. I ask people to them, is shaving fun or a chore? If it's a chore, you're doing it wrong. See, that's the thing, too, is you can't force people into the hobby. When I see like a Gillette ad, I like to go on and troll just because, I do. And I've noticed after doing it for a while that I wasn't getting anywhere because people are like, shaving is a chore. You're an idiot. Leave me alone. And so I've learned that the only people you can really not say push, but expose the hobby to is people who are looking for a way out or looking for something different or care about their appearance or their smell. People who just say, okay, shaving is shaving and that's it. You're not going to be able to change their opinions. It's just the way it is.
No. I mean, that's the same thing with anything in this world. I mean, you're not going to change their opinions, but maybe you can, expose them residually to the hobby, and maybe they'll think about it later on or something.
Well, the thing is, I've had guys, who have been following me for a year and be like, okay, all right, you've broken me down. What do I need to do to get started? And I'm just like, yes.
Right.
That's the perfect part. We got 1 minute left, Timothy. Is there anything you want to add?
No, man. I'm just going to say that I'm really excited to use the Terror. This sucker's got a really cool story on it. If you haven't looked into the story, do it. Do it now. But some really cool stuff is coming out. I'm really excited to post some pictures. So if you guys aren't following me already, follow me. Look at my pictures that I'm posting tonight. And thank you, Yost, for bringing me on. It's always a joy to be with you, buddy.
Always a pleasure to have you, man. Good seeing you. I will talk to you later. Take care. Everybody, thanks for watching. I know we didn't actually shave, but you know what? The conversation was the whole fun. So thanks for watching. Catch you later. If you're not following Timmy Two Shaves already, make sure you do. The Shaving Tulsan on Instagram. Catch you all later. Love you all.